Hello. Yeah, I haven't really got my day started yet or anything like that. I just watched a baseball game, drank some coffee. But I've been thinking a lot about hate because I never really understood what hate was until 12/27/17, and I was born in 1967. So that means that would make me what, 50 years old? Yeah, it makes me about 50 years old before I understood hate. And that might sound weird, especially if you know some of my backstory. I almost had people kill me before, and yeah, had my fair share of mistreatment and stuff. Understood anger and understood rage, and I certainly understood violence. And at one time, I was very good at it. But hate is a whole other thing, man. It's like cancerous, and yeah, I've just been very filled with hate lately because well, I'm in a tough situation because I can't get anything done about an extremely painful knee. I already fell this morning, but it wasn't a bad fall or anything like that. I needed a writing surface to write down a signature on a FedEx slip from a package I missed yesterday. And so maybe that's playing into part of it is like I'm having to deal with the medical community. And if there's anything that can engender hate, it is having to deal with the medical community and bureaucracy. And but no, I never really hated anybody until I was 50 years old. And now I'm hating a lot of people. So it just seems very strange to me. Like I hate the boat guy now. I don't really hate the crack people, but I hate the boat guy. And I've hated my landlord for some time. But the thing with the roaches is the guy's being evasive to me on the text. He's just lying to me like I'm an idiot, which is insulting. And I told him about the roach thing on the third, and he acted all surprised. And it's like, oh, you got roaches? And then I'm talking to him on the seventh, and I'm trying to find out what's going on in the building, and I'm asking him. He's just being evasive about every question that I'm asking him. I'm asking about the people upstairs. How many people are there? I was like, did she admit that there's roaches up there? And he was like, well, she said she saw some. All the sentences are real short. And he's like, it's like he doesn't trust me. I've never been late on the rent once. Never screwed him over once. Put up with all the bullshit people that he's thrown in here have been on his side like 100%. Just try, always square dealing with the guy, and the guy's fucking lying to me basically it's insulting for someone of his intelligence to lie to me. It's just insulting. So, I'm trying to find out if he used bait or spray up there as far as like, cause he said I said, have you done anything? Have you told Michelle? Or have you talked to her name's Michelle? That's Stampy's name. Said, have you talked to Michelle about the roaches? And he's like, yeah, one word. And I'm like, well, I said, and he was like, I've already had I think he said I've already had the plate. I've already had it taken care of, something like that. And I'm like, did you use bait or spray? Because he offered to put like bait in here, like poison bait. He said it's like peanut butter. And so I'm asking him what he did about it. And he was like, so he won't answer any of my questions directly for whatever reason. So I actually wrote the sentence, bait or spray. So he couldn't be evasive. He had to answer one or the other. So there's like a 20-minute pause in there where I know where his tiny little mind is clicking away trying to think about how to avoid the truth. Here's the truth: is he wanted to keep the roach problem a secret, so he already knew about the roach problem, but he didn't tell anybody in the building about it. So he said, "Well, I don't know if it was a bait or a spray because, um, you know, the exterminators took care of it about a week ago." And I'm thinking, it's been 4 days since you acted surprised that there was a roach problem in there. I'm not the most intelligent being in the world, but there's a difference between 4 and 7. So at that point, I just stopped the conversation and I just like want to rip his head off. And I go and I talk to the guy in the wheelchair who's very blunt, and he doesn't really give a fuck. He will tell you whatever. And he goes like, "I don't mean to insult you or anything like that." But then he said something or another, and I said, "Well, what you're telling me is because I'm being too nice. He's just taking advantage of me." And he's like, "Yeah, that's pretty much it." And so what happened is he wanted to keep the whole roach thing a secret, which I think, if you have a roach problem in the building, you should tell everybody in the building there's a roach problem in the building, and he's spraying poisons probably above me when I have health issues with an 8-foot hole in my wall that just has duct tape and cardboard on it. So, that might explain why I've been short of wind last week. But he doesn't want to admit any of that. He doesn't want to tell the truth. So he's like, "Oh, I don't know what they used, but, it happened a week ago," and he acted surprised 4 days earlier. So what actually probably happened is they used a poison spray up there, and what happens with that is it kills some of the roaches, and it chases the rest out of the apartment and into guess whose apartment. So that's why the roaches started popping up in here, And to make it worse, while I'm texting this lying son of a bitch, I actually smack a roach on my ribs, because they've been wanting to cuddle up in bed with me and stuff. So, I'm just filled with hate. I'm just like, thank God we're not having this conversation in person, because there would have been violence, And as a crippled person, I reserve the right to sucker punch someone. I have that right now as a crippled person, and I have a heavy right hand. I would have knocked him on his fucking ass. And, it's like I was trying to explain, I was like, do not confuse my docility with stupidity. I was talking to the wheelchair guy, through text. I was like, it's like, you don't understand. I have a very violent history, and I was raised by very violent people. I did not, say people that have murdered people, and I did not say that my father put people in the ground, and that my uncles put people in the ground, and that my brother used to be in bar fights and have busted up knuckles. And I just grew up around violence and stuff like that. I didn't say any of that, but I was like, I understand. That's why I'm docile like that, is because I understand that I have that dangerous temper. And I explained to him, I am the guy that you saw in the hallway with the machete. And I know that's me, and I have to be careful with my temper, But I really hate my landlord now, and I'm thinking like, maybe the problem is I don't have any way to get outside or get around, because I don't have any. Well, I have the money that I could spend on another power chair, but I'm going to try to get one for free, which is my right, I suppose, as a crippled up person. And yeah, that lady called, and that appointment, I have set that appointment up at a different place, because the place she gave me, the person is on indefinite leave as of April 29th. And I called like on the 6th. I called like on, I think that was Monday. I called on Monday, and they're still like on indefinite leave. It's like, well, they had a death in the family, or they're sick or something. So I told her about that, and she said I could just go to this Mercy Hospital and go to see a physical therapist there, and that, you know, I should tell her beforehand when the appointment comes, and, you know, she's already ordered the scooter for me, which she's like really on my side. I'm like, thank you for being awesome. But yeah, this whole hate thing is like a new experience to me, because I always, like, you know, with my father, it's like I always understood where my father was coming from, is because of he was there's no getting around it. You know, you are what you do, so there's no getting around it. He was an evil person. He's an evil person that tried to be good, though. So I don't really hate my father. But this whole hate thing, it's like I'm really having trouble dealing with that. I know you're supposed to express your emotions, but now I'm kind of stuck here with this guy that I hate that's lying to me, and it's like not only lying to me but insulting my intelligence while he's lying to me. You know, he doesn't want to tell me that that's why a bunch of roaches rushed into my apartment, as he kept it a secret and had exterminators go up there and spray poisons, and that's why, you know, I'm not inexperienced. I've been renting for over 30 years. So, yeah, I know how it works. And to make it all worse, you know, he's like the closed door Christians. Like, you know, to get biblical with you, many who knock say, Lord, Lord, and didn't I do this? Didn't I do that? Didn't I do this? And the guy behind the door says, I never knew thee. And it's like he's that kind of a guy. It's kind of a guy that's praying for me but leaving 8-foot holes in my wall, spraying poisons above me when I have health problems, and chasing roaches into my building. So, you know, I'm having a hard time like dealing with all the hate that I have right now. And to make things worse, I'm housebound. And so I can't even sit out on the porch, because that means I have to deal with people in the building that I hate. So, you know, I can't even really do that. And I shouldn't say that. I don't really hate the PTSD guy. He's just got PTSD, and you know, is a dangerous person. And um, you know, he's just like talks some stuff that would, like I said in the other, I use the same phrase I used in the other video, where it would curdle a cow's milk in the udder. It's like, okay there, buddy. So, anyways, I have to eat breakfast, and then I'm gonna work on my book. And I said I was gonna make less videos for the month of March, but I was just feeling very hateful, and you know, maybe this is one way to express it, or just like admit that I'm feeling that kind of hate, which I'm not unfamiliar with, and I don't know how to deal with. You know, I don't know how to deal with this sort of hatred toward people. I'm not used to it, you know. Anyways, so that's me. Today I'm kept in hate, but I will occupy myself by you know, working on my projects. And this book, actually, I had to read you a segment out of this book that suits me perfectly. Just for, you know, I like spontaneity, you know me. I have to take off my glasses because I can't see for shit. He's talking about dynamic adaptation, which he explains later in the book. He says, by dynamic adaptation, well, let's just do it this way. He's differentiating between static and dynamic adaptation as the words he's using to describe this. And he uses an example of static adaptation as when a Chinese guy comes to America to live, and he, instead of using chopsticks, uses a fork and a knife. He's not a different person. It doesn't change him. He's just, you know, that's static adaptation. That's what he calls static adaptation. He said, by dynamic adaptation, we refer to the kind of adaptation that occurs, for example, when a boy submits to the commands of his strict and threatening father, being too much afraid of him to do otherwise, and becomes a good boy. While he adapts himself to the necessities of the situation, something happens inside him. He may develop an intense hostility against his father, which he represses since it would be too dangerous to express it or even to be aware of it. This repressed hostility, however, though not manifest, is a dynamic factor in his character structure. It may create new anxiety and thus lead to still deeper submission. It may set up a vague defiance directed against no one in particular, but rather toward life in general. That was me. I had a hostility toward life in general. It's one of the reasons why I stayed virginal. I didn't want anything to do with life. I just wanted to analyze it and try to understand it. And I didn't want to participate in it. I just had a father that was caused me to repress any hostility until I was 20, and pushed my sister with her baby out of the way. One of my prouder moments, and got in his face. And then I just became, I directed it then at life rather than my father, because I forgave my father for being what he was, because I know he was trying to be good, because I knew his brothers were serial killers, leg breakers, and rapists, and every other fucking thing you could imagine. So I knew that I had the good one. That he was the cream of the crop, that he was trying to be good, but he just couldn't quite manage it. So anyways, so that book in that particular section is talking about me, and that is why I don't hate my father. But the book goes on further to say, every neurosis is an example of this dynamic adaptation. It is essentially an adaptation to such external conditions, particularly those of early childhood, as are in themselves irrational. He's saying that the conditions themselves are irrational. Like an irrational father who, like, you, one day he's like, lets you get away with one thing, the next day when he beats your ass for it. So, and then he says, generally speaking, it's unfavorable to the growth and development of the child. And then he compares that, and if you broaden that out to the spectrum of a whole society, if the whole society is an irrational background for people, you just get it on a larger scale. And he refers to it as the presence of strong destructive or sadistic impulses in social groups. They offer an example of dynamic adaptation to social conditions that are irrational and harmful to the development of men. Like, I don't know, fascism, following Hitler. The book was written in 1941. So, I think this is relatable material to people, and I don't think I would be wasting my time reading this rather intense 328 page volume. The print is not too, the print ain't crazy. I don't know if you can see that or not. It's not crazy small. Just my eyes are very, very bad. And so I take off my glasses to read it, which is actually something I did even in my 20s. I like to be close to the book. I really loved books. I never kissed a book before or anything like that, but I really love books, so yeah. So yeah, this whole hate thing, I don't know. I don't know how to deal with it. I haven't heard from the boat guys since the 25th of April. And I told him we weren't friends after something I'm not going to go into. Then I told him, like, we should try to be friends, then after the boat thing, it's like, I'm wasting my time. I'm just being stupid. I'm just letting another person take advantage of me. And what a sweetheart I am. And so, yeah. But no, I don't know how to deal with hate. I'm inexperienced with it. I always like, well, that's one thing about being empathetic, is you can see things from other people's sides. And you can be like, well, like with my father, I could be like, well, I can see, like, their dad used to do stuff to them when they were little kids. And don't worry, that's not the stuff you might be jumping to, not CSI, SVU type of shit that I'm going to be talking about. But he used to, like, when they were, that's why they were all knew how to fight like crazy, is because he would, like, for his amusement, make them box and fight one another when they were like tiny little kids. Just like for his amusement, he would pair them off and like, there's nothing going on, man. No grudge, no nothing. No, like, well, you guys can settle it with the gloves. It was just like, you're going to fight this person today. My uncle so-and-so is going to fight my uncle so-and-so today. Good luck, 7-year-olds. They go out there, and so they all knew how to fight. They were very good at it. And, if you want to make violent people, that's a good way to do it. But, yeah. Okay, now it is 9:04. And I said I was going to make less videos, but I'm going to make a short video today because I'm just like woke up in a very hateful mood and just wanted to kill my landlord yesterday. It's like, thank God he wasn't here lying to me in person like that. Because, yeah. It's funny that it is funny though. I still see things. I'm so alienated. I can still see the humor of it from the outside. The guy is lying to me about them spraying poisons and driving roaches into my apartment. At the same time, he's lying to me. I'm smacking a roach that's crawling up my rib cage. I can see the humor in that. Yeah, maybe that's why people still watch these. As it's just kind of funny. I mean, it's like you might, you don't really know me. You know the person that I am on the internet. That is me, actually. So I guess maybe you do know me. But when you're watching something like that on TV, it's funny. So you're just kind of like watching a TV show. It's kind of funny. You got a guy lying to you about like fumigating roaches and chasing them into your apartment, while you're actually lying in bed smacking a roach while he's lying to you about it. Shit. It's funny. Yesterday it made me want to kill him, but today I can see it as funny, and I still have to deal with this dude. Itchy nose. Because I got to get something done with my leg. I'm thinking like pain or no pain, to keep up the strength in my legs, I'm going to have to start walking on the treadmill. And like, I'm kind of scared to do that because of the amount of pain involved. But at the same time, I'm scared not to do it. Because I'm just going to get weaker. I'm just going to fall more and more. I don't have a camera I can move around and show you, but I got like a cut like this on my left leg sideways where I hit the door jamb, and there was a nice old contusion, nice big old bump. Like I nailed that fucker. So and like I said, I already fell down this morning, but it was actually I fell into a chair. As I was trying to lower myself into the chair, I like fell sideways. I didn't get hurt. I needed a writing surface. So I'm going to have to address that. I just can't lay around and read. I have to do something physical. I can't really get outside unless I want to borrow the wheelchair guy's extra wheelchair in the hallway. And, I don't even know how to use a wheelchair down a ramp. I've never done it before. So, I mean, it sounds stupid, but I'm kind of like I don't want to get in a wheelchair for obvious reasons. The connotations involved in getting in a wheelchair, and I don't want to get in a wheelchair because don't really know how to operate one smoothly. And I don't know if you can. I don't see people like rolling down the road on a wheelchair. You know, and I don't know how my shoulders and arms would even react to it. You know, maybe I could text Roy about it. That's the guy's name. It doesn't matter if I say his first name. Calling him the wheelchair guy is probably insulting. But anyways, I just asked him about it. You know, it's like, you know, will that wear my arms out if I do that? Because it's beautiful out here. I mean, you can see that sun coming in. I got the window open. Um, if I'm not mistaken, it's May 8th or May 9th. I forget which. And it is just gorgeous outside, you know, and just being trapped inside is terrible. Um, the good news is that I got up at a decent hour today. So, you know, I don't know if I can still keep I might be on track here, you know, because I got up at a beautiful 6 o'clock in the morning. So I might be able to keep on track here and get my schedule I like back. Just keep away from crackheads, and yeah, just I can get my schedule back, which I like. Which, you know, apparently a certain amount of sunshine and light is good for your pineal gland inside your head, and that's regulates your sleep rhythms. And that's why when you take melatonin, that is the hormone that your pineal gland produces. Now, if you have ever seen the movie From Beyond that goes back to the 80s, that is based on an H.P. Lovecraft story where a person's pineal gland pops out of their head and awakens their sleeping pineal gland and allows them to see other dimensions. You probably already knew what a pineal gland was, you know, because that's how I learned about it. It's way back when I think that movie's like, it's called From Beyond. It's a beautiful movie. Beautiful schlocky horror movie. If you like, you know, like B horror. And I mean, who doesn't? It's just beautiful stuff. But it's a good horror movie. And it stars Jeffrey Combs, which is kind of a cult actor, and Barbara Crampton, also sort of a cult actress for those types of roles. And it involves a little S&M and a little like there's other stuff that goes along with the pineal gland popping out of people's foreheads and shit. But anyways, you need that light. You need to be awake during the day to get those rhythms established. You know, because that's what your pineal gland is for. It's like in the center of your freaking brain, more or less, I believe. And it reacts to sunlight and light, and so that's why, you know, you need like, that's why sunlight's good for your sleeping patterns, and that's why you don't get the same kind of light in the house as you do, you know, like for me going outside right now from being trapped inside for so long. I would have to be so cool that I would have to wear shades. You know, it just would be too freaking bright for me. It's just too dangerous for me walking around and stuff. So anyways, as usual, that was longer than it needed to be, though under a half an hour. But anyways, I will concentrate my efforts on reading my audiobooks and learning and whatnot. Hopefully this wasn't too boring, and it'll give me something to watch while I eat breakfast. So, yeah, I hope you can get a chance if it's sunny. Like, man, is it bright? Somebody wrote no really big to me. That's what that doodle-doo was. They just wrote no in capital letters. just your basic standard emphatic negation. So I was just gonna say, you know, if it's bright and beautiful out like it is today, I hope that you have the wherewithal and the ability to get outside and enjoy it wherever you are. And before I sneeze or have to do anything rude with my nose, I'm going to say goodbye. Goodbye.